Hello, everyone. I am Andrea, and welcome to the Conduits channel. I am glad you guys decided to tune in today. And if you like our videos, please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, if you're new to the channel. And then you can also hit the bell notification and get more. We did have a little bit of an equipment malfunction last week on one of our videos, as some of you may have noticed, and I apologize for that. I tried to shoot the Sunday reading, and guess what, guys? It did it again. It cut the last 10 minutes off of that video as well. So I'm not sure if I'm having an equipment issue. I don't know what's going on and why it's doing that. I use a lapel mic, so maybe it's malfunctioning. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna have to watch this reading very closely today and hope that it doesn't do it again. I'm not sure if I was bumping it or something. I don't know what's caused it, but we're gonna watch it today and see if it does it again. Hopefully it doesn't, so that I can actually get this reading out to you guys, because I ended up not being able to do it on Sunday, and I was so frustrated after having completed the whole reading that I just didn't shoot it again. I ended up just putting up the 5-minute recap of the other video. So anyway, enough of that. You guys understand. Thanks for being so forgiving. I really do appreciate it. We're going to get into your shadow reading today. It is your Thursday shadow reading. And so we're going to take a little bit of a look at what's going on with Divine Masculine and their shadow, those unseen parts that might help to explain a little bit about why they do the things they do in this 3D world and this experience that we have with them. So this first card is about what is it the Divine Masculine needs to accept? Okay, what do they need to accept? And for this, we have the World in reverse. So with the World in reverse, we have unfinished business, certain lessons that still need to be learned that are reoccurring themes that are happening. Our shadows exist only because they're outside of our awareness. They're in our blind spots. That's why we call them shadows. They're parts of ourselves that have an impact on how our life shows up for us, an impact on our perceptions, an impact on our relationships, and how we do things. It's that hidden programming that's embedded within us that we are unconscious of. We're not aware that these behaviors are having an impact in our life. So the universe, in its unique and beautiful wisdom, gives us what we need before we get what we want. So say we put it out to the universe, this loving universe, that we want a particular thing or situation in our life. Like say we want a romantic relationship or a partnership, a connection, or say we want a certain type of job, or we want to make more money. The universe is going to say, okay, great. Let's get you in alignment with that. So it's going to give you a bunch of things that you need, lessons that you need in order to align you with what you want. And it's to show you what these shadows are, these hidden aspects of yourself that are preventing you from having the outcome that you desire. The universe wants you to have what you want. Those realities are at your fingertips when you understand how all this works. But we get so discouraged by these lessons sometimes that we give up. We have these mental patterns, which are also part of what the universe is trying to show us, that say things to us like, oh, things like that don't happen to you, or you're not worthy of that, or you're not good enough to do that. You could never accomplish that. And so the universe gives you a bunch of situations showing you that these patterns are there. But oftentimes we look at that as validation to these mental patterns that we can't do something, or that it's unachievable by us, or that we're just not lucky or deserving. And those are shadows that we need to break the patterns of. So when things don't go exactly the way that we want, or things don't show up exactly the way we want when we want it to, or if things seem like they're going off course, just remember that the universe is probably trying to show you what's not in alignment with your desired outcome so that you can fix it. So rather than looking at them as reasons to throw in the towel, look at them as an obstacle that you have the ability to parkour over and overcome. Right? Use those parkour abilities. And for those of you that don't know what it means to parkour, these are like super highly talented people that go through the city and they can pretty much jump over any hurdle and overcome any obstacle in their path. And they do it with grace and ease. That is not something that happened immediately. It's something that is a learned, response. They have muscle memory. They have strength that had to be built up over time. You could look at the experiences that are happening in your life as a kind of mental and emotional parkour, right? You can, with time and experience and wisdom and, mindfulness and presence, which are key, you can jump over these hurdles. Your divine masculine is going through this. They're starting to have to look at, they've got a lot of unfinished lessons. They've got things that they need to figure out. And they may have certain mental blocks that are preventing them from, being able to overcome some of these obstacles that appear to stand in their way. But there's always a way around and there's always a way over. They just have to figure out that they have the ability to do that. So the universe is sending them lessons to help them to learn what it is that they need to learn in order to be in alignment with the desired outcome that they want, what's really truly meant for them in this universe, that soul's mission that you guys are both on. Okay. All right. So next card is going to be, what is it the divine masculine needs to forgive? Okay. They need to accept that they have certain patterns and shadows that they need to look at. And now what is it that they need to forgive? Because forgiveness is for you or for them, not for others, right? Ramblin' Mike, who I listened to quite a bit early on in my journey before I stopped watching tarot, he is an awesome tarot reader. I do recommend him. He's very positive. He's always got a great message. I really admire him. But I got that from him. He would always say, forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. They don't even know you're forgiving them. It's for you. And that was, at the time for me, a very profound realization. Because I'd always misunderstood what forgiveness was. I thought forgiveness meant you were condoning someone else's behavior or just letting it go and letting them walk on you. And that's not what it is at all. Forgiveness is realizing that they're only understanding things to their level of consciousness. But forgiveness is for you because then you're not carrying around the burden of anger and hatred and frustration and pain and sorrow. Those things only hurt you. They don't hurt the other person, right? They only hurt you. And so forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. Okay. Everybody's got shortcomings and, mistakes are always made because again, we're all going through this right here, the lessons that the universe is trying to teach us. But if we forgive, doesn't mean we condone, but if we forgive, it's just the forgiveness is just letting go of the anger that's harming you, the frustration and the hatred that's harming you. Because then it's just re-injuring you over and over again. So what is it that they need to forgive in order to be able to move on and learn some of these life's lessons? And for this, we have 2 of Swords in the upright. Okay, it's in the upright, I can tell, because the little skull on the back is upright. And that's how I have to look at this deck. So with 2 of Swords in the upright, they really need to understand that compromise is not always something that is easily done by people. They may have a hard time. It's not so much that your divine masculine has a hard time compromising is what I'm getting from this card. It's more that the people that they're dealing with have a difficult time compromising, and your divine masculine has a tendency to acquiesce to the needs, the wants of others rather than putting themselves first and their own needs and desires. And so sometimes this can set them up for resentment. It can set them up for imbalanced relationships. And so this forgiveness that I think is kind of the energy from this card that I'm getting is that they need to forgive themselves for not always having, kind of like shown up for themselves and put themselves first. But they also need to forgive others for not always recognizing that. Like they may blame others and think, well, they just never, compromise with me. But what they're not seeing is the 50% of them that let that other person move forward without them saying anything or putting up much of a fight. All of our characteristics, whether we have, whether we would say we're agreeable or not agreeable, or we're empathetic or not empathetic, all of our traits that we have a duality to them too. They're dualistic in nature. We could look at two traits, two separate traits, and say that they are opposites of each other, right? Like happiness or sadness, for example. But we would say, yeah, those are opposites. However, happiness in and of itself has a positive and a negative side to it. And so does sadness, right? Because, like, for example, happiness, if we're just happy all the time and ignoring parts of ourselves, that's, spiritual bypassing. We're not looking at all the aspects of ourself. We could be in what we call toxic positivity, or, constantly feeling like we have to be in one mode all the time and not recognizing the benefits of other modes. And then sadness, yeah, we would say that sadness is like not good, right? We're like, oh, that falls on the negative side. But there is also this weird positive thing that can happen from sadness, because lessons can be learned. And, growth can happen from that. So everything has a dualistic nature to it. All right. That's the law of polarity. And so if we understand that, then, we can kind of look at things. And so they need to forgive themselves just as much as they need to forgive others. They need to really, forgiveness, such a multidimensional thing. It's so different and experienced by each of us differently, because all of our experiences are different. So it's not easy to say to somebody else, well, you need to forgive, because there's so many different ways that can even be interpreted. But it looks to me like the card is trying to say that your divine masculine may have certain areas that they need to maybe be a little more assertive in. Maybe they need to, see their value and kind of stand up for themselves a little bit more. And they need to forgive others for not being aware of this and not being aware that they're taking advantage. They're inadvertently taking advantage because they don't know how your divine masculine feels. But they also need to forgive themselves for not having that knowledge and wisdom and understanding that they do need to assert themselves more. And then they can change that. Once they kind of let that go, then they can, and recognize that there is an issue there, then they can change that. And that's where forgiveness comes in. What do they need to release? What does your divine masculine need to release? So far, it looks like the microphone is still going strong. So that makes me happy. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so for this, we have the High Priestess in reverse. So they need to release. This card stands for, well, when it's in the reverse like this, it stands for a need to, like, sort of become aware of the fact that we all have, like, a potentially clouded insight, that perspective can be shifty, or that sometimes we're not as in touch with our intuition as we need to be. So we live in a world that has definitely been leaning toward the mental or logical side of things. And a lot of people are going through awakenings right now, which is waking them up to that, like, more feminine aspect of themselves, which is what we would call intuition, right? everything that we talk about that has what we call duality, which means that there is a positive and a negative energy, a polarization between both. And that is in everything, okay? Everything. You could break it down to these two energies that are really a polarization of one energy, right? It's the unity consciousness that we're talking about. But anyway, that's a whole nother lesson, which, by the way, we do go into in our group calls that, you know, and our course is coming out. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff that's coming out in the courses. But until then, we have our group calls and our one-on-ones that are available to students and seekers in the spiritual community and Twin Flames. So if you guys want to go deeper into this stuff, you know, get into those group calls or set up a one-on-one and we can talk about some of this stuff, because we have a wealth of knowledge and information that we want to share, and we can't pack it all into little bits here and there. It's you know, there's a lot that goes along with our spiritual ascensions. And as you guys know, you guys are going through one. It is good to have a community of level, like-minded people that you can share with. And, you know, there's a lot out there, so you got to be careful. I'll just say that. You know, I know that there's, in any area of life, there are predatorial people. Some of them are aware that they're predatorial, and some of them are not aware that they're predatorial. So when you know, deal with other people, when you deal with, and I'm not talking about just in the spiritual community, I just mean in life in general, but it still does affect the spiritual community. You got to be careful. You know, not everybody is, I don't even know how to say it. Not everybody's at the same level of consciousness. I really don't think that, I really do believe that 99.9% of the people in the spiritual community have good intentions, myself included, and you included. But we're all human and we're all fallible, right? And so even myself or even you, the spiritual journey itself is trying to wake us up to those parts of ourself. So my thing to you guys is always follow your inner compass first. Okay, follow your connection to God. The only thing that will never fail you is your intuitive intuition that you have, that gives you access to the divine. Okay, it's something that comes from within you. And that's what this card represents. This is a need to discover that. Now, your divine masculine needs to discover that. They need to recognize, because if we're looking outside of ourselves in an imperfect world for validation and healing, we're only going to end up getting a dualistic experience of that, which is some people will help and some people will harm. Even sometimes the same person can be helpful and then they can turn around and be harmful. Why? Because it's an infallible world. It's a fallible world, right? And so the only place that won't happen is your connection to God, right? And how do we connect to that? Through that intuitive inner space within. And your divine masculine has definitely had a issue with that being clouded. Now, it's just human nature itself, not just your divine masculine. But different people are at different levels with that. And it's like the layers of an onion. It takes a long time to get to the center of that. Few people throughout history have. And they probably still even had layers to uncover. Where that ends, I'm not even sure, right? Like I'm not even sure. I guess God knows. But we can definitely improve and get more centered and connected to that inner compass within us, which helps us to navigate this world, because if we only do it through the level of the mind and through the emotional body, we can get very lost in the labyrinth. So your divine masculine needs to take some time to try to tap into that part of themselves that will serve as a compass in this world, and help them to break free of relationships that are disappointing, And that doesn't necessarily mean letting the relationship go. It just means navigating it and experiencing it differently. If that's the as within, so without principle. Okay, so what do they need to learn? So just to recap on that last card, I want to tie it back into the card itself, so there's no confusion. They need to release the parts of themselves that are keeping them from seeing that deeper truth within them. Okay, they need to really take some time to practice mindfulness and presence, and take some time for self-inquiry. Okay, that's what they need. So what can they learn? What can divine masculine learn? All right, so this card is in the upright, and it is Seven of Swords. Okay. So what they can learn with this card is that authenticity is extraordinarily important. But sometimes it can take a while to uncover what that actually means to us. And we need to be empathetic of those around us for the same reason. We talk about people, oh, this person's so fake, or this person's this or that. But anything we say about others could probably, at least at some point in time in our life, probably be said of us too. Unless you get into some of the extreme things in life, like, murder and stuff like that, I'd say those are fairly uncommon experiences. But when it comes to the mental and emotional body, how we think and how we feel, a lot of what we experience is very, very similar. There's a lot of commonality there, and then that leads to action. So we need to be mindful and forgiving of others, and we need to be mindful and forgiving of ourselves. When it comes to patterns and programming that we are still trying to navigate our way through and figure out who we really are in all of this, like what our true purpose is, what our bullseye is, what our goal is, our trajectory in life. When I started to go through my spiritual awakening, I came to the realization that a lot of what I had experienced that I had been ashamed of had actually happened to me for my highest good, and helped to actually prepare me for that life path that I had been being prepared for unknowingly my entire life. I didn't know that I had been being prepared for something. I just was comparing myself to others and saying, oh, I wasn't good here, I'm not good there, they're really good at this, and I'm not good at that, I'm not worthy. I had, I guess, kind of a poor self-esteem, as I think probably the most people that are walking on this earth do to some degree. Even those people that we would call narcissists have pretty poor self-esteem. That's what they're using narcissism to try to cover up and to use to protect themselves. So we all have suffered from that, and our egos betray us, because one moment our ego is telling us what badasses we are and how stupid that person is over there, and then the next minute our ego is saying, you're such an idiot and that person's so much better than you, right? The duality of the mind can be very, very confusing, which is why we need to detach from it. And this journey that you are on, the purpose of meeting your twin flame, is to help you to do that very thing. Okay, to detach from the mind. It's extremely important. And spiritual teachers have been talking about it all throughout history. So your divine masculine can learn these lessons as they go through these experiences that the universe is giving them in order to teach them. And the sooner we become willing students, which is by just being and allowing, letting go of the rope. We have a video about that, letting go of the rope. As soon as we can do that, we can actually learn a little more quickly. It's like giving up control actually gives us more control. It's so weird, right? But it's true. It's part of the collapsing duality, right? Giving up control will give you more control. What? Okay, that's another thing that we can go into at some point in time in our group calls. We talk about all these things. If you guys are interested in that, if you are a seeker, a traveler, please join into our group calls. We have a lot of fun in there. All right, so where can they seek healing and recovery on this path? For this, upright again, we have 3 of Swords. A lot of swords today, huh? All right, for this, we have 3 of Swords. 3 of Swords is, this is kind of a weird card for this, like where they can seek help and healing. This card represents the ending of a relationship. It can also represent depression and sometimes even physical ailments that need correction. So they may need to seek help outside of themselves through either a therapist, a life coach, a mentor. Maybe they even need to seek, a belief system that can kind of help them. They may have certain physical things that need to be attended to, like maybe they need to go to a doctor. But they also may be experiencing a relationship that's extraordinarily difficult and very unhealthy for them. And they may need to let go of that relationship. They may need to exit that relationship and seek help outside of it in order to heal. Because whatever that influence is, it's a pretty negative one for your divine masculine. And it could be a combination of things. But letting something go is going to help them have healing. And seeking out help from appropriate places is going to help them find healing as well, either through a doctor or through a therapist. Maybe, again, it could just be a mentor, a trusted friend or family member that has the wisdom, but they do need some kind of support network with whatever it is that they're going through. So then this last card is, what can they do to get help, to help themselves? Like where can they seek that kind of help? So we definitely know that they need some with that last card. But what are some potential, a little bit more information, I guess, some potentials of where they can get that help? And for this, we have King of Coins in reverse. So this gives us a little more insight into, I guess, what's going on. So either your divine masculine or someone that they're with is suffering from a lot of insecurity and some extreme jealousy. So there's probably some emotional and mental wounds that need to be looked at and healed. And there's a lack of follow through in the past, which is why it's only increasing and getting worse. More attention, more time and energy have been given to this negative experience, which is only creating more momentum for it in your divine masculine's life. So the type of place that they need to seek help from would be someone who could deal with mental and emotional traumas that can kind of help them to see those blind spots that they haven't been able to see so far. So this kind of loops it back around. They have blind spots and they need to seek help from someone on a mental and emotional level. There are lots of resources for that. But, you can lead a horse to water and you can't make him drink, right? Either your divine masculine is going to seek out that help or they're not. It's really up to them. And sometimes the more you push someone, the more they're likely to dig their heels in and not do it. So I wouldn't even suggest that you say anything to them, Divine Feminine. It's something that they need to come to the conclusion of on their own. But don't worry about that. Because again, remember, letting go of control gives you more control. Trusting and having faith in the universe, that the universe is giving your Divine Masculine everything it needs in order to get them to come to that conclusion on their own. That's where it's at, okay? That's what's going on. They're going to come to that conclusion on their own. They don't need to be told. The universe is going to lead them there through experiences, even if those experiences are difficult. Okay, so your numerology number for today is 6 and 3, or 36 and 63, or you could add them together and have 9. So we are going to use this deck here for your oracle card. So far, it looks like everything's recording all right. I don't see that there is an issue, which makes me happy. I think I can relax now. And maybe it was just maybe I bumped the cords or something last week when I was doing it, or something was not connected properly. So I think we're in the clear. I really, again, appreciate everyone letting me know that there was an issue and for being patient while I got that last 5 minutes back. You guys are so great and supportive, and there was a great turnout on that video. So I really appreciate it. Oh, by the way, you guys, we have a special going on right now. Please look in our description box below. We have 40% off of tarot readings. Trick or treat is your coupon code for that. I'll have that in the description box below. So 40% off of all tarot readings, which is a great deal. That's for Halloween. And then we also have 25% off of all personal coaching calls. And that is coupon code Halloween. So if you're interested in either of those right now, it's a great time to purchase them. And that will be happening all the way through October 31st. So this is our way of celebrating Halloween with you guys. So please, if you guys have been on the fence, or if you're interested in any of those, you want to do a tarot reading, we have 30, 60, 90-minute, and also live tarot readings as well. And they're great. So check it out below. All right. Here is our card. I attract the essence of my thoughts. These are Abraham Hicks cards, by the way. If you've never listened to Abraham Hicks, I highly suggest you do. She's great. So the law of attraction and its magnetic power reaches out into the universe and attracts other thoughts that are vibrationally like it and brings that to you. And so you are getting the essence of what you are thinking about, whether it is something you want or something you do not want. There's so much truth in this. And this is what the universe is trying to teach your Divine Masculine in a nutshell right there. It's the perfect card for this reading, because that's what we were talking about. Your Divine Masculine has certain lessons that they need to learn, and they need to really seek out some help to understand the patterns of thinking, these subconscious things that are causing them to attract things into their life that are not bringing them the joy and the happiness and the outcome that they would like. As within, so without. Once we change what's going on inside, then we can expect a different outcome in the world outside. It's as simple as that. I love you guys. Thanks for being here for this reading today. Please, again, like and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in any of our discounts, check out the description box below. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.